As a horse owner, I invited the Puss Lynch Fire Prevention Officer to come to my barn, and we walked through the barn. And I have to say, it opened my eyes because I saw a hay stall, he saw a fuel source. So is this something we can train horse owners to look at their barn in a very different way?
Because you're working in the facility all the time in your barn, you know your facility, but you're not looking at the fire safety prevention or flammable liquids or hazards like that, like a fire safety officer is, fire prevention officer with your local fire department. And it's a good idea to have them come on your site, do an inspection of your barn, and point out those key things that could be wrong within your barn, and it helps to educate you. And plus, by taking education courses in prevention and fire safety, it goes a long way to add that information and knowledge to yourself so that you're going to prevent a fire possibly in the future from happening.
So if we right now were to give advice to horse owners out there, what can they go out and do right now after watching this video to make the barn safer for their horses?
Walk into the barn, stand there, and just look around first. And just look everywhere. The ceiling, the walls, the floor, the stalls, and just see if you can spot things that could be a problem or could start a fire, such as straw and hay in accumulation in the shed rows, in the stalls, in the hall, in the aisleways and everything, as well as electrical equipment. If you happen to notice extension cords being used as permanent wiring, or frayed extension cords, things like that, or light bulbs hanging down from the ceiling, that type of thing. There's something that they can do just first and foremost by walking into their barn and having a look.
Now, Bob, we've got some items on the table here, so why don't we talk about those for a little bit?
Okay. The first item we have here is the smoke alarm, and basically this is a battery operated. It's not electrical or interconnected. These can be used in a barn. The only problem is it's only going to let you know if you're right inside the barn. It is not connected electrically or being monitored out to the farmer's home or back to a central alarm facility or the fire department. But they are a great item to have, and the batteries basically last for a year. Okay, and when the batteries wear down, they start to beep for 2 weeks, and then you know you have to change them. Well, we recommend that you should have hardwired commercial, electrical, smoke detectors, and that way there it's going to be connected back to a central facility or to the farmer's house.
Right, okay. Right. And then we have an extension cord here.
Okay.
What do we need to know about that?
Extension cords are, as we in the fire service talk about, as temporary wiring, and these are used for equipment that you're going to use within your barn. If you're heating up water or things like that and you require electricity, it's meant for that. Or if the blacksmith is coming in to do some horseshoe changing and things like that, they would use extension cords. But these are not permitted under the Ontario Fire Code to be used as permanent wiring. Because what happens is, especially in barns, is that they're open all the time to animals getting in, such as mice and raccoons, that can chew on the wires and they can become frayed. And if they're plugged in and connected to electricity, they can spark and cause a fire. And you wouldn't know that. And sometimes the horsemen like to wrap these around nails, and it wears the cover off, and it can short circuit or electrify everything, any metal close to the doors of the stalls. So you want to be sure you check your extension cords and only use them as temporary for the equipment within the barn. Once you've finished with that equipment, then disconnect it and don't use it any longer.
Now, the third item we have here is iconic for fire safety, and that's a fire extinguisher. So let's learn a bit about that.
Okay, it's great, and we recommend in the fire service that you have what is called a multi-purpose ABC fire extinguisher. A, the letter A stands for wood, paper, cardboard. B stands for flammable liquids such as grease or gasoline or alcohol that you would use in the barn for the horses and leg wraps. And C is electrical, so any energized equipment, this is safe to use on. It's a monoammonium phosphate powder inside. It's not water, and that's why it can be used on electrical fires. All right. It has a gauge on the front that shows you the green arrow in here and a yellow arrow. And what we recommend is you check these daily and ensure that the arrow is straight up and down, and that's telling you the extinguisher is good to go and it's ready to be used. This is a 20-pound size. We recommend you locate these on the outside of the barn at every exit door, and if it's safe to do so, you can grab the extinguisher and pull the pin, aim the extinguisher at the base of the fire, squeeze the trigger, and sweep and keep it low so that you're going to extinguish the fire slowly and exhaust, that's right, exhaust the air and the oxygen from the fire. Also, we want you to check when you're checking your extinguishers to make sure that there isn't any accumulation of spider webs or dust or straw up into the nozzle part. This is where your powder comes out and makes it work. If this gets plugged up, it's not going to work. Okay? And they're a great extinguisher. We recommend that you service these once a year. Have an extinguisher company, work with them and have them come out and do a service on your extinguisher.
Now, Bob, we've got 3 other items here that we want to discuss. Let's look at this one first.
Okay, this is great. It's a checklist for fire safety that you at the university provide, and it's on your website, Equine Guelph. And it's a great thing. And the first box, it's boxes that go down with several questions that is asking the person doing the inspection in your barn. And the first one is, my address is posted very clearly in reflective numbers and can be visibly seen from both directions on the road. That's a key point to fire departments. When they're responding to your facility, they've been given that address from 911 operator, but also they want to be able to see the sign large enough out the front of your facility and the barn so that they know this is the right address they're coming to. Okay? Your second item here, you've got the University of Guelph Fire Safety Plan. This is required because your building is required under the Ontario Fire Code to have an emergency fire safety plan pointing out, in the event of emergency, what steps will the university and the staff take in the event there isn't a fire or emergency. And we recommend in the fire service to horse facilities, to farms, that they also have a document like this. Even though it's not required under the fire code, and the fire code doesn't deal with farming facilities, it's a great thing to have because it gets you training your staff on emergencies in the event of a fire, teaches them how to lead horses out of a barn, making sure that, and we recommend that you have halters on the horses so that in the event there is smoke or fire in the barn, that they can grab them, lead them out of the barn. And they're practicing in that, and it's part of the fire safety plan. And we recommend that you conduct these drills at least once a month, and that way that everything is fresh in your mind. And that's a key point we've talked about today, is making fire safety and prevention a key now, that you're aware of these things now when you walk into a barn. What should I be doing? What should I be looking for? And a key is a fire safety plan. And it lists also the staff, the people that own the farm, all the emergency number of contacts in the event there is a fire, which is a key to police, fire, and ambulance, so that they can deal with it. Right. But these are a great thing to have, the fire safety plan. Okay. And thirdly is another document from the Ministry of Agriculture, and it's titled Reducing the Risk of Fire on Your Farm. And there are several of these documents out, but this is a very good document if you read through it. It's telling you step by step of all the fire protection, prevention, and fire safety steps that you should do or practice on your farm and in your facility.
So these are really important items for us to have as horse owners. And what they do is they bring all of us in as part of the team for fire prevention. And so fire prevention is everybody's responsibility.
That's correct. And it's keeping it fresh. And by doing this continually, and we always also recommend that you keep a logbook on when you've conducted these inspections and also when you've conducted training with your staff, so that there is a log there that people know that you're trying to make it safe. And it also can let the insurance companies know that you are operating safe fire safety practices with your facility.
So Bob, thank you so much. We've learned a great deal here, and hopefully together we've helped to make barns safer for horses out there.
Thank you, Gail. I appreciate you having me here today. I think with the recent fires and the importance this has brought, shows the key need for fire prevention, to recognize that there are things out there that are causing these fires, and we need to make the regulation changes and the education for prevention and protection to make it safer and to prevent fires from happening in the future.
So I want to say a very sincere thank you to Bob for helping educate us on how to keep our horses safer and promote welfare of horses. And also just to let everybody know that Equine Guelph does have a behavior and safety course that's online, and it's a great tool for people to learn how to increase safety in the barn. Visit equineguelph.ca.